It was nearly sunset when Mr. Ethan Gray locked the classroom door, his worn leather shoes scuffing softly against the tiled floor. The corridors of St. Helena Elementary were empty now, echoing only with the distant hum of the janitor's vacuum. He carried a stack of ungraded papers and a half-empty thermos of cheap coffee, his dinner most nights. He was used to the loneliness of the after-school hours. Teaching wasn't a job to him, it was a lifeline. Still, there were days when the silence pressed too heavily on his shoulders. That evening, though, he heard something unexpected, a soft, muffled sob coming from the playground. Ethan froze, his instincts kicking in. Following the sound, he found a little girl sitting on the swing set, her knees pulled to her chest. Her uniform was neat, her hair in pigtails, but her eyes were red and puffy. She couldn't have been more than 8. He recognized her, Lily Saunders. Quiet, polite, always in the second row. Her test scores were excellent, but she rarely smiled. "Lily," he asked gently, kneeling beside her. "Hey, sweetheart, what's wrong?" She quickly wiped her eyes, trying to hide the tears. Nothing, Mr. Gray. I'm okay." "You don't look okay," he said softly, sitting on the cold metal swing next to hers. "You can tell me. It's just you and me here." For a moment, she didn't speak. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying the smell of freshly cut grass. Then her small voice trembled out the truth. "My dad didn't come to pick me up again," she whispered. "He promised he would this time." Ethan's heart tightened. He'd seen her father only once, a tall man in a crisp black suit, arriving late in a sleek car, phone glued to his ear. He hadn't even looked at his daughter properly before rushing her into the car. Ethan remembered thinking how strange it was. Such wealth, yet such distance. "Well," Ethan said gently, "until he comes, how about we keep each other company, hem?" Lily nodded, sniffling. Ethan smiled and walked her back into the classroom. He found an extra granola bar in his desk drawer, his emergency dinner, and offered it to her. She hesitated before taking it, whispering a small, "Thank you." For the next hour, they talked. About her favorite subject, science, her best friend who'd moved away, and her mother, who, Ethan noticed, she spoke about in the past tense. Finally, she asked, "Mr. Gray, do you miss anyone?" Ethan hesitated. His throat tightened. "Yes," he said quietly. "I miss my mom. She passed away a few years ago." "Mine too," Lily whispered. "But Daddy doesn't like to talk about her. He just works all the time." And that was when Ethan understood. The little girl wasn't crying just because she'd been forgotten for a pickup. She was crying because she'd been forgotten in life. When the black car finally pulled up nearly 2 hours later, a tall man stepped out, Daniel Saunders, the CEO of Saunders Industries. His sharp suit, expensive watch, and commanding presence made him look like he owned the world. But his eyes were tired, hollow even. "I'm so sorry," Daniel said quickly, looking embarrassed. "Work ran late, and..." "She was just fine," Ethan said kindly. "We did some math practice and talked a little." Daniel nodded stiffly, his phone buzzing again in his hand. "Thank you, Mr. Gray." Ethan Gray. "Right. Thank you, Mr. Gray. I'll make sure this doesn't happen again." But as he took Lily's hand and led her to the car, Ethan noticed something. The girl didn't look relieved. She looked sad all over again. Over the next few weeks, things didn't improve much. Lily was still often the last student left waiting after school. Sometimes her father sent a driver, sometimes he forgot entirely. Each time, Ethan stayed behind, grading papers beside her, sharing snacks, and slowly becoming the person she talked to most. One rainy afternoon, she handed him a small, crumpled note. "Here," she said shyly. "I made this for you." Ethan unfolded it. It was a drawing, him standing beside her on the playground, both smiling under a bright yellow sun. Above it, in shaky handwriting, she'd written, "My favorite teacher." He felt something sting behind his eyes. "That's the best gift I've ever gotten," he said honestly. She smiled for the first time since he'd met her. But the peace didn't last. A week later, the principal called Ethan into her office. Daniel Saunders was there, arms crossed, face tight with frustration. "Mr. Gray," the principal began, "Mr. Saunders has expressed some concerns." Daniel cleared his throat. "I appreciate your kindness toward Lily, Mr. Gray, but it's been brought to my attention that she's been spending an unusual amount of time alone with you after hours. I think we need to establish boundaries. Ethan's heart sank. With respect, Mr. Saunders, I never wanted anything inappropriate. Lily's often left waiting. That's none of your business, Daniel cut in sharply. My schedule is private. Ethan clenched his jaw. Maybe. But your daughter feels alone. She needs someone to talk to. Daniel's expression flickered, pain crossing his face for a split second. Then he stood. I'll handle my family. Please remember your place, Mr. Gray. The words stung. After Daniel left, the principal sighed, apologizing, but Ethan only nodded silently. He understood. Poor teachers didn't challenge powerful parents. Still, he couldn't shake the image of Lily's tear-streaked face. Days passed. Lily stopped staying late. She looked withdrawn in class, her eyes dull. Ethan respected the boundaries, but every time she avoided meeting his gaze, it hurt. Then, one stormy evening, as Ethan packed his things to leave, he heard the phone in the teacher's lounge ringing off the hook. No one else was around. He picked it up. Hello. A voice on the other end trembled. Mr. Gray. It's Lily. Lily. Where are you? Daddy was supposed to pick me up from the office. But he didn't come. I walked home, but it's so dark, and I can't find my house. Ethan's heart dropped. Where are you now? Look around, what do you see? Through her sobs, he caught details, a bakery, a tall red building, and a flickering streetlight. Ethan knew that area. Without hesitation, he grabbed his coat and rushed into the rain. He found her near an alleyway, soaked and shivering, clutching her school bag. When she saw him, she ran into his arms, crying uncontrollably. It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe, he murmured, wrapping his jacket around her. Let's get you somewhere warm. He took her to a nearby cafe, ordered her hot chocolate, and called her father, but there was no answer. Finally, he texted the man his location. An hour later, Daniel burst in, hair wet, panic etched on his face. When he saw Lily, he rushed to her, dropping to his knees. Oh, thank God. I thought I'd lost you too. Ethan froze at those words. Too. Daniel hugged her tightly, tears falling freely. It was the first time Ethan saw the mask crack, the cold CEO gone, replaced by a terrified, grieving father. After a long moment, Daniel turned to Ethan, guilt written across his face. I'm sorry, for everything I said. You didn't overstep. You did what I should have done. Ethan shook his head. You love her. You just forgot how to show it. Daniel exhaled shakily. When her mother died, I threw myself into work. It was easier than facing what I'd lost. But in doing that, I almost lost her too. He looked down at Lily, now asleep in his arms, and whispered, thank you for saving my little girl. From that day, things changed. Daniel began to show up more often, attending school events, eating breakfast with Lily, even volunteering for the parent reading day. Slowly, the wall between father and daughter began to crumble. One morning, Ethan found an envelope on his desk. Inside was a handwritten note from Daniel. Mr. Gray, you reminded me what truly matters. You didn't just help my daughter, you helped me find her again. I've set up a scholarship fund in your name, so other teachers like you never have to choose between heart and survival. With gratitude, Daniel Saunders. Ethan stared at the letter for a long time, overwhelmed. He didn't teach for money or recognition, but knowing his small act of kindness had rippled so far filled him with quiet pride. Months later, during the school's annual talent show, Lily stood on stage with a bright smile and a microphone in her hand. This song, she said, is for my teacher, Mr. Gray. He taught me that even when you feel alone, someone always cares. Her voice, sweet and pure, filled the hall. Ethan sat in the audience, wiping away a tear as Daniel, sitting beside him, whispered, you changed both our lives. Ethan smiled softly. She just needed someone to see her. That's all any of us ever need. As the lights dimmed and applause thundered through the room, Ethan realized something profound. You don't have to be rich to make a difference. Sometimes, it's the poorest hearts that give the most. He walked home that night under a sky full of stars, feeling lighter than he had in years. His old shoes still scuffed against the pavement, but his spirit soared. Because in helping one lonely little girl, he'd unknowingly healed 2 broken souls, and maybe, in a small way, his own too. Moral: Compassion doesn't require wealth or status, only the courage to care. One act of kindness can bridge worlds, mend hearts, and remind us that love, in any form, is the greatest gift of all.